Hey guys, welcome to the live stream. I thought I'd do a little episode here where we talked about some of the what happened today. Hey, Boda Bob, thanks for joining. I saw you join the premiere this morning. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool to do a little bit of a round table. If you guys are interested, you can actually join in the discussion and be a guest on the screen. The link should be in the description, so we could try and play with that a little bit. So that way I'm not having to wait for the comment to come across. But you know, I thought it was kind of interesting. When I first saw the video that was posted on Facebook and the pictures of Brad, I actually went ahead and did a video where I kind of dissected it and what you could have done and what contributed. And then I thought, well, it'd be cool to call him and have a conversation with him. And so I messaged him and asked him if he'd be interested in a interview, and he was interested. So I thought it'd be good to I'll hold off on my video where I was dissecting the scenario, and I'm glad I did because yes, I think we all, well, if you guys are in on the Facebook forum, people are going to just tear you up and tell you how dumb you are and tell you how you're doing it wrong. How you shouldn't be running a tractor, all those things. So I was glad to be able to get his info there. And it sounded like once he kind of told me his situation, how he uses the tractor and how he goes about, he doesn't have any implements for the back. He basically uses it to mow. Came with the house, and he, has a loader that he takes off most of the time. So there you have it. So let's hear. Looks like we're getting a couple more people in. I thought I would take the time to talk about, obviously if he had it in four-wheel drive, that would have changed everything, right there. Okay, Boda Bob, just see where you put. Let's see if a few more join. All right. Now I did not share this in the tractor tube forum with those other guys. My phone, it just constantly keeps trying to reboot. It's it's not working, and that's how I get to Facebook. This software here is it's called StreamYard, and it can post to your YouTube channel or your Facebook page, and you can do it all through here, and it's a web-based program, so I can get to it from the computer here. So I can't get into my Facebook, and because I wanted to join those other guys. Hopefully they saw, and maybe they'll join in. Like I said, you can join in the discussion by clicking on the link. Looks like we've got a couple more people in here. Boda Bob, I learned a lot from your rollover. These videos are so informative to new equipment owners. I agree, Boda Bob. They, that's how I learned. And that's really why I started the channel and started posting videos, just to kind of give back. Because I figured there's got to be a lot of other people out there like me, new to tractors. So, hey, Bob Bennett. welcome. So, yeah, we got a few people joining in. Bob, there should be a link in the description. If you guys wanted to join in on the discussion, we could kind of talk amongst ourselves if you felt comfortable, putting yourself on the screen. So it's an option. I thought we could use this as a round table, if you will, of tractor enthusiasts. Now, kind of interesting, I set this to also go live in the Facebook. So this is just overall kind of a test run to see how this system works and how it posts to both YouTube and the Facebook O&D live page as a live stream. So a lot of firsts here. But so in talking about the rollover itself, the four-wheel drive, I could see how you take it out and you forget. If you're always running in four-wheel drive, I could see how he could make the mistake and, have forgotten that he took it out of four-wheel drive and then he was moving that. I've done small jobs where I think, well, I'm just going to lift this small item and move it and should be fine. I could see myself doing what he had done, even without the stuff on the back. And when I first got my tractor, I definitely moved some stuff without anything on the backside. So, like he said, one of the things that was interesting to me is he basically lifted it. It was still pretty much touching the ground, just barely. And I've moved stuff where it's hanging down and you've got to raise it up enough so that you can, clear the ground. And you figure you're just going to go slow. And it was enough that he lost traction. So that did it there. So obviously, if he had weight on the back, that would have helped. What are you guys' thoughts? What if you saw it on Facebook? What were you thinking? What went through your mind? I'm kind of curious if you guys saw it there or if you saw it on my channel for the first time. Let's see here. Bo to Bob. I have a few slopes I mow, but nothing like Brett's Hill. Yeah, it was going to be a long way. And I'm sure he was just thinking, I'm going to be picking up speed. And before I pick up too much more speed, I'm going to try and turn. And that's basically what I did when I started to have a runaway tractor. Let's see here. But Bob, I don't have any ballast, but I always run in four-wheel drive. Now, well, I see your tractor right there. You do have a FEL front end loader there. So, there is such a big difference with having the loader on there with nothing on the back. It'll get away from you. Okay, so you didn't see it in the Facebook group. I think it was BXB and LX Kubota tractor group is what it was. Has anyone mentioned wheel spacers? He actually mentioned it in his Facebook post. He was considering wheel spacers. He didn't have them, but I don't think that would have helped him. His was purely traction. He lost traction and being in two-wheel drive. So those rear wheels lost traction. And so when he had the brake on, or once he took off the brake, and he had a little bit of momentum, there wasn't enough traction there to move him, or to stop him. Something else that he mentioned was he had that happen when he was mowing, and didn't have the loader on, and he lost, I guess you could say, lost control, lost traction. So I think, yeah, and so wheel spacers I don't think would have helped. You know, also the fact that he had his mid-mount mower on, and that did not slow, you know, his roll. He went on over with his mid-mount mower. So I don't think the wheel spacers would have been wider than what his mower deck was. So that was kind of interesting to see. And as he said, as it kind of dug in and pole vaulted them off. Let's see here. I was just thinking, let's see. Bob, 4-wheel drive and a ballast box would help a lot. Yeah. You know, and that's what I was thinking. Something in the back that would have kept his rear wheels down on the ground. I am going to try and pull up. Let me see what I can do here. Get my other screen pulled up here. Let me see if I can pull up his post, and we'll look at that and look at the pictures and dissect it a little bit. All right, here we go. Maybe. All right, Bob, let's see here. Boda Bob. I see the open differential would have been providing power and braking to the wheel that lost contact with the ground. Explains no braking power once the open diff wheel left the ground. Right. Okay, I'm going to share my other screen here. We'll look at that picture. I'm going to full screen it here. Oh, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so let's look at the video again. And man, it happened so quick. So he talked about lifting it, just getting it off the ground and basically taking the parking brake off, and he started to roll. And when I've used my chipper, man, it's taken a long time to load up. Let me hit refresh. When I've used my chipper, I have lifted it up off the ground, took my parking brake off, and then next thing I know, I'm starting to roll if I'm on a little bit of a hillside. And so I could see how that could happen, where you take that parking brake off, and if you have it in neutral. So to run my chipper, I have to put it in neutral in order to run it off the seat. Man, I'm going to play it again here. So just started to back out, and he tried to turn. So can you imagine if he had been picking up speed, continuing to pick up speed there, starts walking back, seeing the smoke, and hightails it back up there. So after we talked, I did think about, I lifted my hood to take a look at the, what he said looks like a radiator hose going to the air filter. And apparently that's where you would pinch it off to try and starve it from some air. That'd be one way. I hopefully you'd be able to pinch it off. I might have to try that one of these days. just in case my tractor started to run away, if this ever happened. I'm going to try and make sure that it does not happen again. Okay, let me, I see, got another topic there. Or not topic, comment. I agree with Boda Bob. Yep. So, you know, he had mentioned the diff lock. I don't think the diff lock would have helped either. I think both wheels probably just were unweighted enough that they teeter-tottered the tractor up, basically, and used the front wheels as a fulcrum. So, you know, we did talk about him dropping his, let me pull up the, we talked about him dropping the front end loader. So when I had my Runaway tractor, that's what I should have done, is drop my loader, and that would have acted like a brake. It would have also potentially lifted my front wheels off the ground, or just dropped, you know, and put pressure to my rear wheels. Does that make sense? So he was moving with something underneath him, though, underneath his loader bucket. So it might have been an issue where if he did try and drop it, it would have dropped onto that. But I do feel like that would have given him more traction on his rear wheels, and I think the transmission would have slowed him down. What do you guys think? So you think the weight was on the front wheel and lifting the rear tires off the ground? Exactly. You know, when I had my Runaway tractor, I was going down my driveway. I had the bucket on, and I think, I can't remember if I had a weed eater in the bucket or not. I had my small utility trailer on the back, and, you know, with the trailer mover, and I was going down the hill, and I remember I was going fast, and I was kind of bouncing, and so the weight of the loader, the bucket, was really kind of, you know, making me bounce. And then when I took my foot off of the pedal, HST pedal, you know, I expected to slow down, but I didn't. And it's because I didn't have traction on that rear wheel. And I was in two-wheel drive, and, you know, tried the same thing, hit that emergency brake, it wasn't working, and just starting to pick up speed. And I thought, oh crap, if I go down this hill, I am going to cross a road, and what if a car's coming? So I did not want to take that risk and, you know, get hit by a car. Might have been, in hindsight, you know, it's always 2020. But so I decided to turn a little bit onto the hillside, and I thought, well, I'm going to just feather it, you know, get at an angle and try and, you know, come to a stop. It worked. I did not have my ROPS up. I did not have my seatbelt on. It could have been bad. So you know, I'm thankful I didn't roll it that day. So does that make sense? I think his if he would have lowered it down, I think it would have been okay. Might have busted up his planner, but I think that would have been okay. And again, like, you know, so I didn't want to pile onto him like, oh, you should have done that, because you get plenty of that in the comments section of Facebook and on YouTube. So I I did think, you know, I want to do this as a learning for everybody, basically. So if he had ballast on the back, let's go to that other picture. So if he had weight in the tires, that would have helped. I think that would have helped, you know, obviously counter, you know, if it's acting like a seesaw, let's get here, you know, if it's acting like a seesaw and you got more weight on the back end, you know, and let's say the bucket's here, you know, and you just got weight on the, in the tires or further out. Let's see, yeah, I guess this way, further out on the 3-point hitch, you know, that's going to help just plant that tractor on all 4 wheels. So, but like he said, so I think the important thing is that he just uses this to mow. And so he doesn't want something on the back. I imagine he doesn't want something on the back so that he's more nimble. Doesn't, you know, I could see where he wouldn't want anything in the tires because it would compact his soil more. So that makes sense to me as well. And if he rarely uses the loader, you know, if he normally mows without the loader on, then I can see where, you know, you're just using it. You're going to be very careful. Normally he has it in 4-wheel drive. So in 4-wheel drive, then they would be engaged. The front wheels would be engaged. And even if he did lose traction at the rear wheels, the front wheels would be engaged. And from what I understand, the brakes would be engaged on the front wheels as well. So Boda Bob, you might be able to, does that sound right? That the brakes would work if he was in 4-wheel drive on the front wheels? Let's see here. Boda Bob, I should really look at the heavy hitch like Tractor Time with Tim talks about. I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that as I was in mid thought about something else. And yeah, that heavy hitch, then you could put some suitcase weights on to plant the rear end down. So you got some junk in your trunk. I crack myself up sometimes. Let's yeah, so we were talking about the wheel spacers. This picture you can kind of see here. You know, that mower deck's sticking out there. I mean, that's probably sticking out 6 to 8 inches probably. So, and then also with the pivoting front axle, and if those wheels are just coming up a little bit off the ground, more bottom line, I think you got to have 4-wheel drive and then some counterweight on that rear end if you can. And the heavy hitch with some suitcase weights would be the way to go. I think you're on the right track there, Boda Bob. All right, let's see here. We've got some other people in here. You guys let me know who's in, if you can comment. In the description, there's a link to join the discussion, and I can pull you up on the screen. If you don't mind showing your face, then at least it's a little more dialogue than through the chat here. So we've been talking about the rollover and some of the items that could have been done. You know, what I wanted to say, when I saw all the responses and my initial response, because I actually did a video where I was playing it, talking about everything that he did wrong and what would have helped, what he needs. But as I said earlier in the discussion, I could have made that mistake again. Today I was picking up sticks in my front yard. You know, had my forks on. I had my wheelbarrow, you know, on the pallet, throwing wood into it, and I was in 2-wheel drive. You know, I ended up putting it into 4-wheel drive, but you know what? It can happen, and if that ground is a little bit wet or slick, you know what? You can lose some traction, and then you're freewheeling on the front. You know, I think one thing that you could do to kind of simulate that is if you have a little bit of a hillside and an area that you could go straight on down, like put it in neutral and then take the parking brake off and see how fast you build up speed. I think you'd be surprised. All right, Bob. I don't know if the brakes apply braking force to the front propeller shaft or not. And yeah, in the past, I want to say I did read that in a forum that it did, but I couldn't tell you for sure myself. But definitely, I think the transmission would slow you down, and I think that's all you would need to regain control, to maintain control, would be your transmission to grab. So let's take a look at that video again one more time. I'll put it up full screen again. I'm going to do it again. So it just starts to back up, and before it gets too out of control, starts to turn. And then with that loader up so high, it doesn't take much. And it could be even that when that mower deck hit the ground, it kind of, like you said, pole vaulted, that loader up high in the air, continued to, you know, the momentum going. Let me get rid of this. I want to see if I can see his, I mean, that is almost probably as soon as it started. Man. I want to scroll back up here to his other picture so you can see he was coming from right here. He came in right there. He was planning on going on over to the right of his house. So he took his parking brake off, and it basically just started rolling right then. And then he turned to try and salvage it. Yes, the HST does most of my braking. I rarely use my brake pedal. I've gotten better about using my brake pedal. Man, I used to have a go-kart when I was a youngster. Man, that was freedom those days. And so had my brake on my left side, you know, and so with the tractor, I kind of reverted back to where I would have my foot on, you know, ready to brake, you know, quite a bit. And boy, I'd get eaten up in the comments, you know, quit riding your brake, you know, use your transmission, your HST. And I've gotten better about doing that, but that used to be a problem for me. Let me pull this back up here. See if there was anything else. Now, he did talk about how the seat was almost to the ground. I think he would have been safe within the operator station. You know, I think he would have been safe staying in it if he was buckled in. He bailed. got out of there. You know, if his loader was lower, it might have, you know, that'd be a little bit more intimidating, I guess, you know, if you were coming on over. But I think you would still be within the cone of safety, if you will. He said he's a big guy, 6'5", so, you know, he would be, I think he would have been okay. If it rolled on over, that'd be pretty scary. But I think for the most part, it probably wouldn't roll on over. It would take a lot to get that to roll on over. Let's see here. Brad's video may save someone's life. We will never know. It's a shame he took a lot of grief for this, but I look at it as turning a negative into a positive. Absolutely. And that's the other thing is I do want to really give him kudos for putting it out there, putting himself out there like that, because, you know, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there that want to tell you how dumb you are. And you know, it does kind of remind me of, you know, we see these shootings, surveillance video or iPhone, you know, smartphone videos where something happens, but you just don't get the whole picture. Like in this case, a lot of guys are saying, oh, you should have your loader's too high. You need to have ballast. Yes, but I can tell you, I have moved stuff just like he has. Thought, oh, everything will be fine. You know, not having something on the back end. The key is to have it in 4-wheel drive. Now I am pretty good about always putting it into 4-wheel drive if I have that loader up or on the hill, anything like that. So, all right, guys. So it is, you know, I try and do these about 30 minutes. I got to go feed the animals. So I appreciate you guys joining. And I think it was a good discussion. We were able to talk about just some of the other aspects of the rollover, dissect it a little bit. And like you said, other people can learn from it. So anyways, I'm going to sign off. I appreciate you guys joining and watching videos. If you could, please give it a thumbs up so that way it does get suggested and maybe get some other people the information out there. So you guys have a good night. O&D out.